it's crazy on how, like, because of all that, Amanda got her own show, and then Drake and Josh got its own show. And again, as I was just talking about shows that you grew up on that you liked, I didn't watch all that. I didn't watch Keenan and Kel. I didn't watch the Amanda Show. What I did grow up on was Drake and Josh. It's crazy on how each generation has its own show that they grew up on, and then it even gets better too. So Drake and Josh, okay, becomes a hit. Okay, the girl that plays Megan, Miranda Cosgrove, got her own show called iCarly.
0, 1. Let's get started.
What is up today, guys? This is K.M.B's Real Talk. This is the spinoff of Real Talk with K.M.B. Psych, my boy, there's only one Real Talk with K.M.B. But today we are going to talk about spinoffs and reboots, and later on we're going to talk about reboots of, like, because everybody hates on reboots, let's be honest. Some people hate on spinoffs and stuff like that. I'm gonna give some takes on some spin-offs, and then I'm gonna just mention reboots real fast, because to me reboots can be a smart idea, but I'll get to that later. First spin-off we are gonna talk about is a lot of people might know this one. It was off a very hit show. It's called Friends. I talk about it a lot on this podcast because it is one of my favorite shows, but they made a spin-off called Joey. A lot of people don't know about it. I honestly don't think it's even on any streaming services. Literally the show flopped so hard. I'm surprised it lasted 2 seasons. I thought it was only 1 season. But yeah, it lasted 2 seasons. Apparently the character Joey wasn't even Joey like the one we know on Friends. They mention basically Rachel one time in the show. They never mentioned Chandler, Monica, Phoebe, or what was the other one? Ross. Like, bro, how are you not gonna mention any of his old friends that used to live in New York? His sisters aren't even like really mentioned in the show. It's basically like they got a whole bunch of new writers that weren't even the writers from the show Friends. And again, fun fact too is that this spinoff wasn't even originally supposed to be Joey's. It was supposed to be, I believe they wanted Ross and Rachel in Paris or something like that. I'm kind of glad they didn't do that one. And then they were trying for the Monica and Chandler one. I wouldn't mind that one, but then they settled with Joey. To be honest, they could have done something good with the show if they actually had some writers that actually knew how Friends was, instead of hiring a bunch of newbies that had no idea what the show actually was and what made the show is what it is today. Yeah, and they did horrible on it. Another show that we're going to talk about is off another spin-off series that did a very good job for some viewers. I never got into the show myself because I think it is against Christianity, but that's a whole different topic. It's called The Big Bang Theory. And like I just said, in my opinion, in the show, they tried to basically prove that Jesus never existed and the universe made the whole thing, the Big Bang made the whole thing or whatever, and yada, yada, yada. That's a different story for another day, like I said. But the show is called Young Sheldon. Me personally, I think it is a really cool idea of what they did in the show. Okay, they made everybody's favorite character, and they showed his past childhood. I think that is a really cool concept. So I give them props where props is due. It's like show Modern Family. Again, not the biggest fan of that show, but it's like showing Phil's childhood. You know, that actually might work. So I'll give the writers credit where credit is due. I remember, like I said, I was not really into the Big Bang Theory, stuff like that, but I will give this props on. I did remember seeing when the first ever episode of Young Sheldon airing, and I was actually into it. I didn't get into the show, but I got into the episode. And when a pilot is a really good pilot, that says something a lot about a show. So, again, I really do think the concept of having this character, everyone's favorite character, and showing his childhood is really cool. Like I said, I really like testimony, so I like to see origin stories. So I do think that's cool. Like I said, um, a show that I'm gonna talk about as a spinoff is called The Cleveland Show. It's crazy on how Family Guy. Okay, like I said, not a big fan of the show anymore. Used to be. Used to find the show funny. Till I realized of what kind of humor it has sometimes. Um, but that's the point of the show. Pushes people's buttons. But like I said, when you mock Jesus, I don't like that. So, but again, I'm gonna talk about this spin-off show called The Cleveland Show. Okay, it's crazy in how Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane could have chose Quagmire, everybody's favorite character, but instead he chose one of, I'ma say it, like basically the boringest character out of Peter's friend group, and they made it into a show. And in my opinion, it worked. I remember watching it. I was into it for a little bit, so it worked. Like you can have these side characters get their own shows, and it can work. It just doesn't always have to be everyone's favorite character. You don't make everyone's favorite character a main star. Even in Young Sheldon, like Sheldon's not even actually like that much of the main character in that show. Um, Another show that I'm gonna talk about is NCIS Hawaii. There's also NCIS New Orleans. There's NCIS um, Los Angeles, I believe, and then I believe it starts all the way in New York. So it's crazy on how this cop, this one once a cop show just in New York became everywhere, in like a bunch of cities. So it's crazy on how, like I said, one show can just spread out and making different series, and people will still watch it. You know, people that aren't even a fan of the original will watch it because they're like, they see Hawaii and they're like, oh, I gotta watch it. Or they see Los Angeles, like, oh, I live in Los Angeles, like, let me watch it. Um, so that's really cool. Another show that we're gonna mention is George and Mandy's First Marriage. Sounds like a movie, but no, it's actually a show. It's a Young Sheldon spin-off, so I guess it's kind of crazy to spin off after a spin-off. But again, I haven't really like actually watched an episode of it, but I just think it is cool that a spin-off got a spin-off after a spin-off. I don't know how to put that, but yeah, it did. Um, Another one, I guess you can call it a reboot in a way, because I don't really count it as a spin-off, is, or actually, I'm just gonna mention real fast. Everybody knows the show SpongeBob. Everybody knows it. I almost said the name, but Patrick got his own show or whatever. Again, you don't make everyone's favorite character get its own show. And I haven't seen the movies, but then they have a Squidward movie, they have a Sandy Cheeks movie, they have a Mr. Krabs, a Plankton movie. Actually, I don't know about Mr. Krabs, but again, they're giving all these side characters their own stuff, and it's like, bro, like, there's a reason why they're these side characters. Like, it can't stand alone, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but I haven't watched SpongeBob in like years, bro. So I don't, you know what, they can do whatever. I don't even keep up anymore. I just know they made this one reboot called Coral? Camp Coral? That's how you say it. But it was basically based off the one movie they dropped. I don't even know what year it was. Somewhere I think in 2021, was it like the third SpongeBob movie or something? I don't know, but basically the movie, I believe the movie even flopped, but for some reason they showed the origin story in the movie of them at Camp Coral, and they made a reboot SpongeBob show. I don't know, the show was canceled. It's only, I believe it only lasted 2 seasons. Okay, like, to me, the SpongeBob origin story, like, yes, it's not real. I get it, like, it's a cartoon, but to me, is like, you should have just done SpongeBob and Patrick, like maybe growing up, since in the show they already originally were best friends. So to make everybody at this camp like all know each other when they're younger, it doesn't make any sense. Because in the show SpongeBob, and yes, I know it's a cartoon, everybody can get on me, but it just doesn't. You should have done it right. You should have just stick with SpongeBob and Patrick growing up together, because they were already best friends. When they moved into Bikini Bottom, Squidward was their neighbor. That's how they met Squidward. When SpongeBob went to the Krusty Krab, that's how he met Mr. Krabs. When Plankton and Mr. Krabs, you should have made a show based off their best friendship, because they were once best friends. They grew up together. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, same thing with Sandy. She was already in Texas. What do you mean she's doing in the show? And yes, again, I know it's a cartoon. I'm just saying what the audience probably would have liked was just a SpongeBob and Patrick spinoff or reboot. It turns out even the creator of SpongeBob didn't even want this to happen. So the fact that Nickelodeon is just milking SpongeBob like crazy. They're also milking the Loud House too. Okay, Loud House is another one. Just got a random spinoff. I forgot what it was called, but again, they're just Nickelodeon's literally milking spinoffs and reboots like crazy, bro. Everything is. Disney Channel is too. But I'm not gonna go that far. I'm gonna talk about the show Bunked real fast on Disney Channel. Forgot to mention this one, or put this on my list. That show, it's again, it's kind of crazy. It started off as a spinoff off of Jessie, and then next thing you know, it's like not that. It turns into just a regular show itself, because the 3 stars from Jessie left that show, and then they kept the show going. So again, it's crazy when a spin-off show can turn it into its own show. It's crazy seeing that happen, actually. Another show I'm gonna talk about it's a reboot, and since we're talking about reboots now, I'm gonna say it. A lot of people hate on them, but what you don't realize is, like, okay, yes, you grew up with. I mean, take the Smurfs for example. Okay, the Smurfs came out when my mom was a kid. And when they made that live action movie, and I know we're talking about shows, but when they made the live action movie, it got my attention as a kid. Because I wasn't into the Smurf show. So it's like, when people make these reboots, you don't realize on the audience attention it's trying to get. It's trying to get the new generation's attention. And yeah, you might throw a hissy fit like, oh, I didn't grow up with that. That's not the Smurfs I know. That's not the Scooby-Doo I know. Bro, things change over the years. It's kind of crazy. Like, the Scooby-Doo that I grew up with was Mystery Incorporated and What's New Scooby-Doo. Okay, some people that are a few years younger than me grew up with Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I don't like that one. But guess what? That's their generation. That's their jokes. Same thing with Teen Titans 2005. People my age, man, we smack on Teen Titans Go. We think that's the stupidest, most ridiculous thing ever, bro. But guess what? People that are years younger than me like Teen Titans Go. And they hate the one that I grew up with. You don't realize on the stuff that you grew up with, of course people are going to hate on it and think it's old and think it's cheesy and this and that. Because guess what? You were a kid. That was your thing. That was your thing that you thought was the best thing ever. It's just what you grew up on. Same thing with Ben 10, okay? Ben 10 2005 and Ben 10 Alien Force, those are the shows that I grew up on. I didn't grow up on that cheesy reboot they made. Same thing with Powerpuff Girls, you can say too. Okay, and when they made that reboot that came out in 2016 or whatever. Again, we all hated on it because it's not what we grew up with, and it's not the same. But again, what you don't realize on that, we used to watch reboots and we thought they were good. But as soon as your show that you grew up on gets a reboot. That's a whole different story, bro. Again, everything copies each other. Is just what you watch first is that you're always gonna think is good. So I just gotta get that off my chest real fast. So everyone needs to stop on hating on reboots because you once liked a reboot too, bro. Alright. I'm gonna talk about this show called All That. All That, it's kind of crazy. It got a reboot way later in life. I never got into this show, but I'm not gonna talk about the reboot because I don't know much about it. But in the show All That, it's kind of crazy that this little girl named Amanda got her own show called Amanda Show. Okay, here's the top kicker. Okay, the Amanda Show had these two guys. Or wait, no, I'm gonna talk about All That real fast. All That had these two guys named Keenan and Kel. I believe they were they on the Amanda Show. I think they were on All That. But Keenan and Kel got their own show, and then they got a movie called Good Burger that I'm sure a lot of people know. It's actually a pretty funny movie, bro. It's cheesy as heck, but it's actually pretty good. But those guys, Keenan and Kel, a lot of people know Keenan Thompson from SNL, bro. Um, that's how they got their gig. But I'm gonna talk about Amanda real fast. So Amanda was the hit on the All That show. Got her own show. These two guys, these two funny kids, did really good on the show. Got their own show. You guys ready for it? Drake and Josh. It's crazy on how, like, because of All That, Amanda got her own show, and then Drake and Josh got its own show. And again, as I was just talking about shows that you grew up on that you liked, I didn't watch All That. I didn't watch Keenan and Kel. I didn't watch the Amanda Show. What I did grow up on was Drake and Josh. It's crazy on how each generation has its own show that they grew up on, and then it even gets better too. So Drake and Josh, okay, becomes a hit. Okay, the girl that plays Megan, Miranda Cosgrove, got her own show called iCarly. And again, Drake and Josh and iCarly were the shows that I grew up on. Mostly was into Drake and Josh. But besides the point, and then some people might not even know Drake and Josh, but yet they watch iCarly. It's each generation has their own show. And speaking of iCarly, then iCarly later had a reboot that everybody wanted their childhood show to get a reboot, bro. Even Zoe 101 got their own movie. I'm sure there was other ones out there. Then Big Time Rush, then now they're doing a tour again together. But a couple of things I'm going to talk about is, I'm just going to get this off my chest. Superheroes, they get a whole bunch of multiple shows too. I think that's kind of crazy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got their own so many other different shows. I grew up on the 2007 Ninja Turtles, I think it was. That was the one I grew up on. Some people grew up on the 90s one. Some people grew up on the one that Nickelodeon used to play. Some people grow up on the newest reboot, whatever it is. Again, there's so many different timelines and so many spin-offs and reboots. It's crazy. It just depends on which one you were into first, so that's always going to be the one you like. It's going to be the prime years, basically, you're going to call it. It's the same thing with movies. It's the same thing with music. Okay, like let's stop this whole like my generation had this show better and stuff like that, bro. Again, it just depends on what you grew up with. But last thing I'm gonna talk about is Power Rangers. Why am I talking about this last, bro? It's just crazy on how many Power Ranger series there are, dude. The fact that they make a new Power Ranger show each year. It's crazy too that they actually stole Power Rangers off of Japan and stuff like that, and it's also crazy too because originally, the only original Power Rangers there were was Tommy and Billy, I believe, and then it turns out though if you like go to the next show, you have to keep your color or something like that. I forgot how it works, but basically those actors that were in the original, some of them didn't even know that they were gonna get fired. Yeah, there's a lot of drama that's actually behind Power Rangers. If you guys want to check it out, check it out. But yeah, um, I just think it's crazy how many series there are. And again, it just depends on the ones you grew up with. Like I grew up with the ones Dino Thunder, Samurai, SPD, yeah, all that. And then I'm sure a lot of people grew up with Dino Thunder and whatever, or not Dino Thunder, whatever the other new dinosaur one, Dino Charge. But and then there's other people that grew up way in the '90s that grew up with the original and the Space Galaxy and the. You guys get the point, okay? It's crazy on how long that show has been lasting. It still gets movies. I think it still is a show. If we're being honest, um, it just sucks though about like if you are a Power Ranger. Oh, and R.I.P. to Tommy too. Um, yeah, it is sad of what happened to the actor. Um, yeah. So, but it's crazy because he was actually in like 4 series, I believe. Um, where was it? Oh yeah, it sucks though being like an actor in that show because you literally just have that one season and then that's it. Unless, oh, also too, they even get spin-offs too. They get, because I believe they had Power Ranger Samurai and then Power Ranger Super Samurai. So like even they get spin-offs. Like it's crazy that a spin-off gets a spin-off, bro. I don't even know how to put it, bro. Like yeah. So that to me is like one of the most show that has a bunch of spin-offs. But I oh, The Simpsons real fast though, it is crazy that it came off of another show and it still is, and then it got its own show and it's the longest lasting show. I know I already talked about it, but it still blows my mind that show is technically a spin-off. um but I'll see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Real Talk with K.M.B. and next Wednesday we are going to talk about characters, people's least favorite characters, people's favorite characters. So tune into that, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Later.